Considered as one of the radical pedagogues here in the Philippines, and we are happy that he is one of our professors here at PNU. And to let us know him more, may we ask Ma'am Claribeth San Pedro to introduce the next speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was given a task to introduce our second speaker. Dr. Rodrigo D. Avenes is a full-time faculty member of the College of Graduate Studies and Research and Teacher Education Research, or CGSTER, of the Filipino University. He is also currently teaching as part-time philosophy professor at the Ateneo de Manila University. He earned his PhD in philosophy from De La Salle University, Manila. He is also currently serving as the PRO of the Philippine National Philosophical Research Society and a longtime member of the Philosophical Association of the Philippines. His research interests are philosophy of education, Filipino philosophy, and cultural studies. Lastly, he is also the man behind the localized philosophy memes and parody songs in the Aklata ni Tasio and PNPRS Facebook page. Let us give a warm applause to Dr. Rodrigo D. Avenes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Claribeth. Okay, so for my discussion to you today, I'm going to share to you my article entitled Traces of Critical Pedagogy in Rizal's Philosophy of Education. So this is the flow of my discussion. So first is I'm going to give you some anecdote, and then the preliminary, then the statement of the problem, and then the discussions on Paulo Freire's critical pedagogy, and discussions on Rizal's philosophy of education. And lastly is more into the tracing of Rizal's critical pedagogy in Rizal's philosophy of education, which is the conclusion. So just to give a certain anecdote, this symposium coincides with many important events. Okay, so the first one is this week we are celebrating the 118th founding anniversary of PNU. So as you can see, PNU was founded in 1901 as the Philippine Normal School. And this week, or Friday, is the last day of our celebration. It's actually incidental. It's incidental. So, and then yesterday, it's the beginning of the celebration of Teachers Month. Okay, so that is from September 5 to October 5. And then this month, we'll be also celebrating the 90th birth anniversary of Paulo Freire. And that will be on September 19, that was in September 19, 1921. And then lastly is also, we will be commemorating the death anniversary of a well-known critical pedagogue, Filipino critical pedagogue, Renato Constantino, on September 15. Okay? And with this, I would like to begin with his perennial dilemma. And according to Constantino, either the revolution was wrong, yet we cannot disown it, or Rizal was wrong, yet we cannot disown it either. So this passage reflects an inquiry of someone regarding our national hero, Dr. Jose Portasio Rizal. There is a dichotomy between Rizal and the revolution. It is a clear statement that there is an irreconcilable dichotomy between Rizal and the revolution, that was initiated by Andres Bonifacio and Katipuneros towards the construction of a Filipino nation. This dichotomy was being controversial, and there was enormous attempt of Rizaliana scholars in answering this contradiction and enigma. So that's why we're going to take a look at this. This is particularly the official doxa in Rizaliana studies. And according to this dichotomy didn't start from Rizal, but from his biographer, named Wenceslao Quintana, who interpreted and mainstream Rizal as a reformist who only aspired for Hispanization of the Philippine colony. He viewed Rizal as the Tagalog Quixote, and just like Quixote, Rizal was too much immersed into utopian imagination, and he was not able to translate this into liberating and emancipatory action, because he is just a hero of thought who lacks the realist and practical praxis of Bonifacio. This was later on supported by, the second in the picture, by Miguel de Unamuno, a well-known Spanish existentialist and also a classmate of Rizal in the Universidad Central de Madrid, and he even added that Rizal is a Tagalog Hamlet, for he, like Hamlet, was a tragic hero. Rizal, accordingly, was a spirit of contradiction, who dreaded for freedom, but reputed the revolution because he doubted his fellow kababayans. This had been the official Rizaliana doxa, for it was reaffirmed and legitimized by well-known biographers, historians, philosophers in the name of Guerrero, Akin, Agoncillo, Constantino, and our former editor, Dr. Gripaldo, where they argued that Rizal's rejection of the bloody revolution was the result of his ilustrado consciousness. According to Agoncillo, Rizal's rejection of the revolution was a result of his bourgeois interest, because if it will occur, his class will be affected by this phenomenon. Renato Constantino, on the other hand, with his nationalist project of countering the hegemony of U.S. imperialism in the Philippines, went further in concluding the need to overthrow Rizal as the preeminent Philippine national hero, for he conceived Rizal as an Americanized, canonized hero. It was no wonder that the Communist Party of the Philippines regarded Rizal to the extreme as a traitor to the Filipino people, because Rizal called on the people to lay down their arms a few days before his execution. We, therefore, maybe in the official doxa, are guilty of venerating Rizal, the Americanized and canonized hero, without understanding him. But despite of this conventional wisdom, there were still incredulity about this meta-narrative. This was supported by Gibuyen, Isan Juan, when they argued that Rizal's authentic revolutionary struggle cannot be seen in his repudiation of the bloody revolution, but rather it can be seen through his collectivist orientation, scientific creativity, and civic construction during his exile in the Pitan. So that's why, in my statement, or particularly the problem, I would like to argue that Rizal's controversial stance on revolution can be reconciled by articulating and critically examining his philosophy of education, both on its theory and practice. And furthermore, he contends that Rizal's rejection of the bloody revolution is not the result of his ilustrado consciousness, but his conscientization or critical consciousness. It is along this debate that this paper would like to address. And akin to this, Rizal was able to formulate his critical pedagogy ahead of its seminal architect, Paulo Freire. And in doing this, I divided my work into three. First, Paulo Freire's critical pedagogy. Second, the discussions on Rizal's philosophy of education in practice. And third is the conclusion, and that is the traces of critical pedagogy in Rizal's philosophy of education. So let's now go to the first discussion. So when speak of Paulo Freire's critical pedagogy, it's also very important to define what is critical pedagogy. Critical pedagogy refers to the philosophy of education that developed a critical theory of education. This term was originally coined by Henry Thoreau in his book entitled The Theory and Resistance in the 1980s. Critical pedagogy etymologically comes from the two words, critical and pedagogy. And the term critical was the term that Thoreau borrowed from the first wave critical theories, namely Adorno, Horkheimer, Marcuse. And such term was used to highlight an attempt towards the development of modes of critique, fashioned in a critical discourse that negates the possibility and hope for social action. The term pedagogy, on the other hand, was used not only as a teaching method, but a social theory in order to highlight the dialectics of subjectivities, objectivities, freedom, agency in the classroom everyday life. So with this, okay, Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and I know that you are familiar with this, is considered as a classic text, not only in the critical pedagogy tradition, but also in the contemporary philosophy of education at large. This book was published in 1968 and has sold millions of copies worldwide. Paulo Freire is considered as, maybe this is an exaggeration, as the exemplary organic intellectual of our time, the Rizal of the 20th century, the John Dewey of the present era, the most important educator of the 20th century, and one of the heralded educators of the 20th century, and some would consider him as the most original educational thinker, and so on. Okay? So, now, it is tempting to say that Freire is actually an easy-to-read writer, because he was able to fuse his social theory and political ideas in a unique pedagogical conversion where its readers were active subjects. His mode of writing is in fact a dialogue and confrontation in itself, and with this he was able to went beyond binarism and created a critical appeal of discourse, because he was able to capture an imagination of politics of hope to its readers. And I would say that such was a gift to Freire. For if one would read closely his Pedagogy of the Oppressed, one would notice the affinities to Marxism, existentialism, and psychoanalysis. According to Dale and Marginson, Freire was influenced by Marx in terms of technicalities and moral outrage, and human agency and freedom for existentialism, and that is John Paul Sartre in particular. Thus, we could say that we cannot really understand Freire in just one reading. One needs to reread and reread Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed so as to unveil and rediscover its emancipatory meaning via understanding his metaphor. So, as the title suggests, the entire book used Marxist assumptions in order to show the technicalities and complexities of oppression, but also to express moral outrage against humanization. Before we discuss Freire's critical pedagogy, it's important it's imperative to discuss Marxist assumptions, particularly his theory of class and his analysis of society. And in order to understand it better, let us first revisit Marx's theory of base and ideology and his class analysis. Karl Marx illustrated in his preface, The Critique of Political Economy, that the society is composed of the base, that is the infrastructure, and then the blue one is considered as the superstructure. Okay? And the former, refers to the economic base of the society, that has two important components. This is the means of production, which refers to all material and artificial instruments, including man's labor, that is used for human productive activity. And the second is the relation of production, which refers to the social mechanism that determines the nature of production, namely what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce. The latter refers to the ideological component, that is the blue one, of the state, such as philosophy, literature, politics, education, culture, and etc. So for Marx, this one para mas maintindihan natin. In the beginning, the relation of productions and the means of production made by man is actually in harmony with the prevailing stage of development. But time will come, according to Marx, that they will be in conflict with the means of production, will have conflict with the relations of production. The old economic structure will later on collapse through social revolution. And that will be another kind of society. A society which has a new means of production, a new social reproduction, and a new ideological structure. And that is particularly a new society. This might involve the superstructure, and change in the superstructure. Whereas, and here, we could see and we could make distinctions between reformation and revolution. So when we speak of reformation, we could say this refers to the slight changes in the society. Whereas that might be change in means of production, or change in social production, or maybe change in some ideological elements or policies. And this, whereas the revolution refers to the entire changes of society, that is a shift from one society to another society, that is from primitive to slavery, feudal to feudal, feudal to capitalism, and capitalism to communism. So that is basically the idea of Marx. And with this, Freire started with Marx's assumption that history is the history of the class struggle. Maybe, diba? What is the reason behind why he used pedagogy of the oppressed? So it means that that he is particularly adopting the history of class struggle of Marx, and that is particularly the class distinctions between the oppressor and the oppressed. And this for him is an inescapable concern, for it is not just an ontological concern or ontological possibility, but a historical reality. And such reality is a clear manifestation of dehumanization. So there is dehumanization in the society. And this dehumanization is not an ontological reality. This is a historical reality. And according to Freire, we have two possibilities, and that is particularly to bring forth humanization or to continue dehumanization. So that's why here it's also very important to discuss, particularly in this pedagogy of the oppressed, what is the nature of the oppressed and what is the nature of the oppressor. And education as a liberal, education as liberation, and that is the task of the oppressed, so as to humanize the oppressor as well. So, if we are going to take a look at the attitude, the distinction between the oppressor and the oppressed, the oppressed is, there is a problem of recognition. And that kind of problem of recognition is, he adopted the theory of the I and thou of Buber, wherein the oppressor treated the other as the it, and his being is being transformed into the being of heaven. And that is particularly his kind of relationship with others, is he considered other as not his fellow, not a person, but rather an it. And the problem with the oppressed is that, of course, what makes the oppressed oppressed? It's because they are being alienated from the means of production. They don't own the means of production. But the problem is, in one thing, they wanted to be liberated. They wanted emancipation. But the problem is, they are psychologically wanting to have this kind of liberation, and that is particularly to be an oppressed-like individual. For them to be liberated is to be an oppressor, and that is particularly, according to Freire, that is their psyche. That is they're thinking that in order for them to be liberated and to be emancipated in the society, they need to be an oppressor. And they have actually psychologically developed this kind of tendency. So that's why for this kind of reasoning, Paulo Freire would be saying that there is a certain kind of problem. It's because in wanting them to be liberated, they turn to be an oppressor-like individual. So that is basically his discussions. That's why there is particularly a need for education. It's because education for Paulo Freire, there is a certain need for a certain kind of pedagogy wherein that it should be able to liberate the individual from this kind of tendencies. And for Paulo Freire, education itself is paradoxical. What makes it paradoxical? It's because education is being considered, he borrowed it from Althusser, as a kind of ideological state apparatuses, which somehow legitimize and reproduces oppression. And this can be legitimized particularly, there are two options of education. Education for Freire, can be liberating and can be dominating. If it is dominating, that is particularly more into what we call the banking model of education. And if we wanted to liberate our students through education, and education as a subversive force, and that is we should be able to apply particularly what we call the problem-posing education. For Freire, a banking model of education is considered as an instrument of oppression. Because there is no dialogue. There is a resistance in dialogue. It's because it treats students as objects of teaching. Later on, I'm going to explain it further. And then the problem posing as an instrument of liberation. For it promotes dialogue, and students are considered as co-learners, thereby they become critical thinkers. So this is his discussion of the banking model. For the banking model of education mirrors, according to him, an oppressive society as a whole. It oppresses people by teaching them only to conform, and it maintains the status quo of oppression, for it does not teach students to think, and it inhibits creative power for teaching lacophilia, which is the love of death. So this is his discussion. As you can see here, this is a kind of narration sickness that the teaching experience in an everyday life that the students are experiencing. And this falls into this kind of assumption. So first, for example, the teacher teaches and the students are taught. So there's a dichotomy between the teacher and the students. The teacher knows everything and the students know nothing. The teacher thinks and the students are taught about. The teacher talks and the students listen quickly. The teacher disciplines and the students are disciplined. The teacher chooses and enforces his choice and students comply. The teacher acts and students have the illusion of acting through the action of the teacher. The teacher chooses the program content and the students who are not consulted and adapt to it. The teacher confuses authority of knowledge with his or her own professional authority, which is said he sets in the opposition of freedom of the students, and the teacher is the subject of learning process while the students are mere objects. I have this thought experiment in my class, particularly with my students who actually co-organize this event. And sabi ko, let's change students to teachers and teachers to DepEd. Diba? Tingnan natin. The DepEd teaches and the teachers are taught. That is particularly what we call in leadership, right? Okay, that is through what we call the top-down approach. Okay, the DepEd knows everything, and the teachers know nothing. The DepEd thinks the student thinks, and the teachers are taught, particularly training. The DepEd talks, and the teacher listens meekly, because you should not complain. If you are against the system, go out of the system, right? Okay? The DepEd disciplines and the teachers are disciplined. But the DepEd chooses and enforces his choice, and the teachers comply. The DepEd acts, and the teachers have the illusion of acting through the action of the DepEd. The DepEd chooses the program content, that is in K-12. Okay? And the teachers adapt it. The DepEd uses authority of knowledge as his or her own professional authority, which she and sets upon opposition to freedom of the teachers. And the teachers, the DepEd is the subject of learning process where the teachers are mere objects. Tama. As you can see, there are certain layers of oppression. Okay, so that is particularly the thought experiment. I don't know if you could relate with it. So, with the problem posing education, in the problem posing, okay, that is particularly more into chapter 3 and also this work, okay, that we collaborated with Macedo. The people develop their power to perceive critically the way they exist in the world, in which they find themselves, and they come to see world not as a static reality, but as a reality in process. It promotes dialogue, and through dialogue, it responds to the essence of consciousness and intentionality, wherein the teacher of the students and the students of the teacher cease to exist. And the new term emerged, teacher-student with students-teachers. So, here, Paulo Freire is saying that in education, in order to have a certain dialogue in education, there should be a dialogue between our students. During process, there should be particularly what we call reading the word and the world. As a teacher, you have all the words, right? And the students have their own world. And the words that we are giving to our students, they cannot understand it. It's because that is not according to their context. And that is particularly as a resistance of dialogue. So for banking model of education, you're just going to give the words without thinking whether they will be able to relate it with the words. And then you're just going to do what? You're just going to have to narrate it, and there is a narration sickness. It's because you're going to ask them, and then later on they're just going to parrot it, and then you're going to assess the students. And that is a kind of problem, according to Freire. In order for have a liberating kind of education, there should be particularly teachers and students should be considered as co-learners. There should be no dichotomy between teachers and students. Teachers will be the ones who will be providing the words in order to interpret the world of the students. And the world would be interpreted by the teacher through his own words. And sooner or later, they will be an educational process. So that's why consider it wherein there's a new term that emerges. Teacher-student with student-teachers. So that is Paulo Freire's critical pedagogy in a nutshell. So I think I'm already quite successful in discussing to you Paulo Freire. And now let's go to the second part, and that is Rizal's philosophy of education. The question is, what is the philosophy of education of Rizal? We don't know, right? This is a quite irony. It's because Rizal is a mandated course in college, higher ed, but this is actually in the margins. Okay, Rizal as a teacher is not, or as a philosopher of education, is not being highlighted. You know? And in the official doxa, okay, the official doxa says that Rizal advocated education in favor of the revolution, right? That is the narrative. Okay, Rizal repudiated the revolution. It's because he is in favor of education. Okay? But, okay, it is a kind of mainstream, okay, that kind of official doxa. But there are only 3 existing studies that have been done about Rizal and education. It's surprising, okay? It's surprising that there is a kind of meta-narrative, but there are actually few who explored into the ideas of Rizal to education. The first work was done by Osias, entitled Rizal and Education in 1921. And in this work, Osias had tried to present the first systematic presentations of the views of Rizal in education by highlighting some of his views that had been mentioned in his novels and other important works. Osias concluded that Rizal advocated popular education, where he repeatedly bends to the ideas of public education and in his desire for the enlightenment of the masses. But there is no further explanation. With this, Rizal considered education as a prerequisite for liberation of the Filipino people. Okay, so that is his conclusion. The second study was done many years, okay, and that is in 2011. You try to imagine 1921 then 2011 by Tibuyen. And surprisingly, it was written 90 years after the publication of the work of Osias. And then the work of Tibuyen, entitled Rizal's Legacy for the 21st Century, Progressive Education, Social Entrepreneurship, and Community Development in the Pita, he highlighted the importance of Rizal's praxis during his exile. Here, he claimed that many scholarships have downplayed the 4 most important years of Rizal, which serves as a model for his emancipatory praxis. Rizal's collective efforts of transforming the Pitan as a model colony should not be neglected, but it should serve as a clear inspiration towards the formation of progressive society through education, commerce, sustainable development, and progressive education. The third was done in 2014 by my colleagues here in Philippine Normal University. And they were able to relate Rizal's view of education in relationship with the views of the pragmatists, okay, concerning sociality and individuality. That Rizal's philosophy of education, according to them, is primarily anchored into the idea of the importance of school. And the school should be an organon towards the transformation of the individual, towards the embodiment of sociality, and that is the embodiment of socially responsible citizen. And they say that that is the philosophy of education of Rizal, pero medyo there's something lacking in it. So, and I wanted to explore on this, okay, and identify, articulate, and examine critically the philosophy of education of Rizal. And I wanted to use this passage from the chapter 33 of the Noli. According to Rizal in the Noli, the school is the base of the society I go. The school is the book wherein it is written the future of the people. Show us the school, or show us the faculty room of the teachers, tama ba? And we will show you the kind of people there are. As my point of departure in clearly articulating his philosophy of education, both in its theory and practice. And as an entry point, I will first describe the depiction of Rizal of the Philippine educational landscape. And second, we will now go to his depiction of the 19th century Philippines. And his illustration of the late 19th century Philippines can be seen in his chapter 19 of the Noli, entitled adventuras di un maestro de escuela. And that is particularly a depiction of the sad state of the 19th century Philippine education. And Ibarra asked the school teacher, what happens? There are flight of teachers and flight of students. Why there are flight of teachers? The teacher is just a substitute teacher, and the other teacher, his predecessor, went into trade of tobacco. And there are flight of students. Why there are flight of students? It's because Ibarra asked the teacher, how many students do you have? And he said, we have 200 in the list. But do you know how many in attendance? Can you make a guess? 10? Okay, medyo higher pa naman. Higher nga. Okay, 20. You try to imagine, 1/10 are actually, okay, attending the class. And the question is why? It's because, according to the teacher, the pupils are not interested to attend classes because there were no reinforcement, no stimulus, and encouragement. And second, actually, Rizal considered Germany as his scientific home. And he wanted to model school with German school, the gymnasium. And in Germany, I quote, the son of the peasant studies for 8 years in the town schools. Who is in this country would want to dedicate half of that life when the results are negligible? They read and write and commit to memory pieces or parts, and sometimes a whole book in Spanish without understanding a word of their contents. What benefit can the son of the peasants obtain? That's the question. And with this, we could say that the problem is pedagogy. There is a problem with the curriculum. There is a problem with the methods of instruction. Okay, but some would say that there's a problem with the students. Then, let us describe the curriculum. The curriculum, you know it, 4 hours, diba? It's 3 hours, reading, writing, arithmetic, okay, but it's 4 hours, which includes religion. But the emphasis is religion, okay, during the 19th century. And I quote, okay, you already know that in the majority of schools, the books are Spanish, except the Catechism in Tagalog, which varies according to religious orders to which the priest belongs. These books are usually novenas and triduums. And the methods of instruction. You can relate with this, right? Maybe the non-millennials can relate with this. Our students, our teachers, our grade 1 teachers holding the stick, right? And that is particularly the corporal punishment as the method of instruction. This is the painting. This is the painting of Francisco Goya, okay, entitled The School Scene, which is known as El Letra con Sangre, or the letters enter with blood, which be considered as a normative methods of instruction during that time. This painting has iconographically some interesting points. The fact that we could say that it's a classroom because there are books, the students are sharing books, but the focal point is the pupil who is about to receive the whipping of the hose that the teacher is holding in his hand. In his front, this one, okay, these two students are two aching, tearful companions trying to recompose themselves and their clothes after receiving the lesson of the day. In the background are the rest of the students, okay, who who are perhaps accustomed to this normativity. What is surprising in this picture is there's a dog. Okay? There's a dog beside the teacher. And the dog seems to be more calm, showing peace of mind because he submitted himself to the teacher. Okay? So, now, what are the educational reforms? The teacher is not pessimistic about it and attempted some reforms. Actually, he attempted 3 reforms. Okay? The first reform is, and I quote, I attempted to teach Spanish to the children because the government is ordering it. It is also considered as an advantage for everyone. I use the simplest method, teaching phrases, names without resorting to grand rules, expecting them to teach them grammar later on as they learn to understand the language. At the end of the view, the more alert would understand me and were composing some phrases. But he was called up by the Pura. And you know, the school is beside the Pura, right? Beside the church. Okay? And was insulted and ridiculed by Padre Damaso, saying these words, don't use borrowed clothing with me. Don't be content to speak in your own language and then spoil Spanish. It is not for the likes of you. So that is with his first reform. Now, did he lose hope? No. It's because after receiving gross humiliation, he did not resign himself, but rather he examined himself. Okay? And tried to improve by studying Spanish and reading books that he borrowed from the philosopher, and who is the philosopher? From Tasio. Okay? Thereby he realized new ideas and he changed. And from that he changed his own perspective. And I quote, ano sinabi niya? Okay? I saw many things under a light different from what I saw before. I saw errors where before I saw only truths, and truths in many things which seems errors to me. And one example of those is the weeping of the child, which at that time is considered as the most effective way of learning. And according to him, he was convinced that with the model of punishment, learning and reasoning is impossible. For it encourages fear and terror, upset the serenity of the pupil's spirit and his or her moral tranquility. It extinguishes human dignity, and it encourages and destroys compassion, for you observe that pupils who are accustomed to it find comfort in the suffering of the agony of others. Right? I still remember my grade, when I was in grade 1, I have this, you can't forget of course your grade 1 teacher. It's because your grade 1 teacher, okay, has always this stick. And you should read, hey, diba? If you don't read, and they also going to take a look at your fingernails, and then if you didn't cut it and it's not clean, you're going to receive, okay, the punishment of death. But that is before. Maybe the non-millennials, they cannot relate with that kind of experience. But the non-millennials that is the normative, right? Okay? So, and you know, they are effective teachers. And we thought that they are effective. Diba? So with this, okay, he tried, okay, to modify the traditional educational practice by abolishing corporal punishment and making the classroom not a place of pain and sorrow. but a place of joy and love towards intellectual inquiry, where there are wonderful things to discover. Maybe, okay, they are doing already the community of inquiry in the classroom. The reason behind maybe where did Rizal get this idea? Okay, it's because, as I have said, Rizal considered Germany as his scientific home. And you know, okay, Pedagogy is one of the thinker of child education is actually from Germany. Then we have Bloch, you have this kind of also idea about childhood. Okay? So that is primarily the reason. Okay? And Rizal was exposed to this, to this philosophy. Okay? And little by little, he observed that day after day, the attendance of the pupils were encouraged with regularity and eagerness in learning. Such non-traditional pedagogy was later on discovered and known, nabalitaan na, in the whole town of San Diego. And the teacher's attention was called again by the cura. He was told that he was not fulfilling his duties because he is not following the prescribed pedagogy. He said that it's a waste of time, for he is just spoiling the children. He was reminded learning enters with blood, and this pedagogy has been tried and tested for years. After being summoned by the curate, the next day, the parents of the pupils came and began to remind, to administer. It's the teacher, the parents are the ones who are urging the teacher to go back to the traditional pedagogy. Weeping, and were they cited the authority of the padre by saying that if it had not been for what they would not learn anything from their teachers. And if he would not do it, he was threatened that they were not going to send their children to school. Diba? Okay. Pero, against his will, he followed. And went back to the corporal punishment. Okay. Hardly recovered, I returned to school and found my pupils reduced to 50. The best of them had deserted with the return of the old system, and those who were left behind, and a few to schools to escape from the burden of working at home. But he did not lose hope. It's because he tried to nourish within myself a new hope. I attempted to make another try so that the children might not waste their time and benefit, if possible, from the whippings, so that at least the shame of punishment would bear fruit for them. And I thought, what he did is he began translating the books from Spanish to vernaculars, that is in Tagalog, and used Tagalog texts in teaching, such as Formalidad, Nihortesio, and Filisa, and manuals, the manuals in agriculture. He translated short pieces. We call it in the contemporary education contextualization. He translated short pieces like History of the Philippines by Father Barniera and enriched them with new insights. And in teaching geography, he copied, they don't have maps, so they copied maps from the province, from the provincial capital, and reproduced it in the tiles of the floor. Okay? So that is the utopian possibility of Rizal. Okay? And the new cura summoned him again, serious, already serious, and told him that new cura is Padre Salvi, that first you should emphasize, the emphasis of education is religion. That before teaching these things, the children should prove by examination that they knew from the memory the teachings of the church. And what happened? So when Ibarra asked, what are you doing now? In the meantime then, I was working for the children to become like parrots, who would recite from memory so many things which they don't understood, not a single word. Majority of my pupils are not yet able to distinguish the questions from answer. And what both things? Thus we will die, and thus we will proceed, those still to be born. I'm so pessimistic. And in Europe, they already speak of progress. Now, the late 19th century, the classroom is reality, is a reflection of the social structure of the late 19th century. The classroom everyday life of the students then mirrors the oppression of colonial powers. And this can be seen in the depiction of Rizal in the Elfi, the babor tapo, the arrangement of the passengers, and also the captain. Rizal's description of the Philippine social structure can be seen in his second novel, El Linguisterismo. Okay, wherein he used the babor tapo in order to describe the Philippine society. The Philippines in Rizal time was not a country which was not a country, it's changeless, defective, and Rizal added that the Philippine society during that time was in fact run by the priors and industrial personages. However, he didn't stop from that analogy, and Rizal even applied even to the descriptions of the passenger. Diba? Itaas na kubyerta, the upper deck and the lower deck. And particularly to make the class distinctions between the upper class and the lower class. The lower class were the Indios and the Chinese, whereas the latter, the upper class, are the priors, Spaniards, and the Peninsulares. There's only one Indio in the upper deck. And who's that? It's Doña Victorina. It's a very powerful woman. I like his or her personality. Try to imagine, she's an angel and a woman. Diba? Very powerful. Take a look at Don Tiburcio. Diba? Don Tiburcio is the pambansang under Bisaya. Diba? Okay? And those who belong to this class, okay, in the lower deck, were the Indios, Chinese, and the Filipino students. And besides mentioning the different kinds of people belonging to this class, one can see that the Indios were docile, for they didn't complain or oppose to abuses and malpractices. And in their suffering, according to Rizal, they just lowered their brow and indulged themselves in self-pity. Now, with these salient features, there are two attitudes towards changing and transforming this feudal social structure. That is reformation or assimilation and revolution. And we know that the reformists had aimed for Islamization. They sought to fight for, number one, equality between the Indios and the Spaniards. Second, the Philippines should be the province of the mother Spain, representation in the Spanish Cortes. Spanish should be the medium of instruction, secularization, and the priesthood. With this realization, the assimilation did not materialize. Some had fought towards revolution, that is Bonifacio. And this had been traditionally known by the establishment of Katipunan, by the Supremo. And the Katipunan had aimed to overthrow the Spanish feudal society in favor of the new society. So, in a traditional view, okay, we view Rizal as a reformist. But that is based on the official doxa. That is based on the conventional wisdom. That is from Vices Rawimana, okay, up to Joaquin, Leon Guerrero, and even Constantino, and even the discourse of the CPP-NPA. Okay? And they wanted a new national hero, and that national hero is Bonifacio, it's because Bonifacio is for the bloody revolution. Okay? This view had been challenged by Palma in the 1920s, Kibuye, San Juan, and Schumacher. As erroneous for Rizal should be understood in two ways. The nationalist political, two phases of nationalist political development. We have the young Rizal, which is the reformist, and the matured Rizal, which is the revolutionary. So, in the radical Rizal can be seen, okay, particularly in the conversation or change of letters with his best friend, Ferdinand Military. Okay, the establishment of the Liga Filipina. In my readings of the Liga Filipina is actually inspired by the utopian socialists, Proudhon. P.E. Margal is an advocate of socialism in Madrid. And Rizal adopted this constitution in favor of these utopian socialist ideas. But that is another perspective. Okay? I have my perspective, Rizal was influenced by Marx, but we cannot talk about it now. And we have the El Filibusterismo. Okay? And for this, I will just be explaining the content, of my readings of some chapters of the El Fili. Okay? And we could see that the conversion of Rizal to the welcoming of the radical ideas, and this can be seen in the conversation of Basilio and Simon. And Basilio is the embodiment of assimilation, and Simon is the embodiment of bloody revolutionary struggle. The personification of the maturity of Rizal's nationalist ideals has been reflected in the different chapters of El Filibusterismo. In the chapter 7 of El Fili, with the conversation of Basilio and Simon, okay, and Basilio is the embodiment of the propaganda movement who advocated assimilation, whereas Simon is the embodiment of revolutionary struggle. According to Simon, the cries for Hispanism or Hispanization is an act of betrayal to the fatherland. For asking for it, it's begging for suicide, destruction of nationality, annihilation of fatherland, and consecration of tyranny. What will you be in the future? A people without character, a nation without liberty. Everything you have will be barren, even your very effects. You wish to add one more language to the 40-odd that are spoken in the islands, so that you may understand one another less and less. And Rizal recalled the development phase of using the lips of Simon in saying, instead of aspiring to be a province, aspire to be a nation. And in chapter 33, Simon re-echoed the need to reinvigorate the Philippine society through bloody revolution. This bloody revolution, accordingly, is a concentration of tears, oppression. That is the nitroglycerin. While he was showing it to Basilio, repressed hatred, injustice, and outrage. It is the last resort of the weak. And what we need is force against force, violence against violence. And this act, he added, is not an act of being bloody and barbaric, but an act of holiness, perfection, and artistry. He sounds anarchist in this line. It will end the tyrannical rule and misery of the many by setting up a new group of young, active, and vigorous leaders to work out the new destiny of society. And with this new generation, there will be a new society. Thus, it's imperative that in the feudal structure, there is a need to renew the entire race. And those who will not join, all Indios, Mestizos, Chinese, Spaniards, who are all found to be without courage, without energy, will be killed. Therefore, this reflects the all ideas of revolution are anchored on the proposition that all changes must be effected in the political, economic, religious, social, and intellectual spheres as inferred from the conversation. And we know that in the concluding portion of the LP, Rizal is not in favor of the revolution of Simon. Right? Hindi niya pinasabog yung nitroglycerin. Okay? One would notice on how Rizal condemned bloody revolution. This has been manifested in the fragmented conversation of Padre Florentino and Simon. He affirmed that there's a need to reinvigorate the Philippine society or it caused its death. But despite of this characterization, he did not agree with bloody revolution, for according to him, the sword plays a general role in social transformation. Hate never produces anything but monsters and criminals. Violence against violence presupposes evaluation and reformation, and not purification and redemption. He said that it's a prerequisite to learn first the civic virtues, so as to have redemption. For redemption presupposes virtue, virtue presupposes sacrifice, and sacrifice presupposes love. Towards redemption, there's a need to suffer and work. For the just and the worthy must suffer in order that their ideas may be realized and discovered. There's a need to secure liberty by making themselves worthy of it. And this can be realized by exalting intelligence, dignity of the individual, by loving justice, rightness, and greatness, even to the extent of sacrificing one's life for it. If it will be realized according to him, with or without Spain, there will be always be the same, perhaps worse. This is what I like the LP when he said, what is the use of independence if the slaves of today will be the tyrants of tomorrow? Thus, taking it into consideration, okay, we could depart the Rizal. Okay, for Rizal, education for him is to enlighten and to relieve the Filipinos through education, through the study of civic virtues, or among other aspects, the natives who have been wallowed in ignorance, fanaticism, and moral depravity could be enlightened and redeemed. Rizal is envisioning a new man, and this new man is a man who is enlightened human beings with dignity and responsibility of people who would recognize their inalienable rights to life, liberty, and property, and who would refuse to submit to oppression and despotism. Rizal believed that the realization of this new man, okay, there would be new social order. He wanted a new regenerated individuals who are not only individually independent, but rather who are also individually free. So Rizal is already speaking here not of the objective revolution, that is the entire change of the society, but he is pertaining to the subjective revolution, and that is the development of particularly critical consciousness. And because for him, a nation can be free without being independent, or it can be independent without being free. Between the two, it was necessary to obtain various freedoms first and to defend this by an enlightened populace before obtaining independence. And now, the question is, we know the theory of education of Rizal. Now, we know how the classroom everyday life during the 19th century mirrors the present society. But the question is, what is the praxis of Rizal? Okay, they would say that Rizal is a hero of thought and not a hero of substance. He was so immersed into the utopian imagination. He is a dreamer. Okay, he did not do an emancipatory praxis in order to transform the Philippine society. But the praxis of Rizal can be seen in his. Actually, there were numerous of them. He wanted to be the colony in Borneo. He wanted the Liga Filipina to be established, and that is particularly it's actually the first proposal of federalism. It's a federal. Okay, that is patterned, okay, with P.E. Margal's Constitution. Okay, but, okay, it's aborted and later on he was exiled in the Pitan. And the Pitan serves as his model colony. It's because here we could see that is the concretization of his utopian imagination. That is the concretization of his, okay, what he really wanted in the society. That is been particularly the educational reforms that he wanted to establish, okay, in the adventures as reflected in the adventures of the schoolmaster. Rizal was able to transform, okay, the Pitan into model colony through the application of his educational ideas, through his collectivist orientation, scientific creativity. He served as the medical doctor. Not just a teacher, but also a schoolmaster. And according to Ambed Ocampo, the school is also primary and secondary schools. He is also a community town planner. And when he volunteered community work, and there is in fact they also made maps in the Pitan. And map is actually a manifestation of being unaware of territory. Okay? And community engineer. Diba? Anong ginawa niya? Eco-engineering. Particularly improving the water works of the people in the Pitan. And accordingly, hanggang ngayon, buhay pa yung ginawa niya through the help of the students. Community scientists. If you will go to the Rizal Museum here, okay, you could see he's discovered many species. Okay, and shells, different species of frogs and butterflies. He is also the initiator of cooperative. And this cannot be realized, of course, without the help of his students and also the community. And he went there as an ordinary prisoner, but after 4 years, when he was about to leave the Pitan, as if the whole Pitan actually are mourning for the loss of their beloved. And here, I think, let's now go to the traces of critical pedagogy in Rizal's philosophy of education. They say that Paulo Freire is the seminal architect of a critical pedagogy. And in my argument, Rizal was able to develop a proto-critical pedagogy based on his reflection of the Philippine society. Rizal's controversial stance on revolution can be reconciled by articulating and examining critically his philosophy of education, both in its theory and practice. His rejection of the bloody revolution is the result, is quite advanced during that time. It's because he observed that the impact of the Industrial Revolution. When he observed that with the Industrial Revolution, the promise of enlightenment, the promise of the French Revolution of freedom, fraternity, brother, was not realized. And that's why he rejected this kind of revolution. It's because it is the result of his critical consciousness, critical conscientization, that he don't want that the slaves of today will be the tyrants of tomorrow. And we could see here, particularly the traces of these theoretical ideas in the words of Padre Florentino. And to go further, I would like to go into the discussions of the twin tasks of critical pedagogy as stressed by According to Giro, there are two tasks of critical pedagogy. You cannot do critical pedagogy without, first, the language you critique, and second, the language of possibility. You cannot do critical pedagogy if you don't criticize society, and you also don't criticize the classroom everyday life. So that's why here we could see that Rizal criticized society, and at the same time, he also criticized, okay, the classroom, okay, everyday life. It's because the everyday subjectivities happens in the classroom, and with the language of possibility, okay, for Rizal, there is an ontological hope, and a hope. This is not a utopian possibility. This is not a utopia, but rather, okay, this can happen according to him. And this has been proven, particularly through his emancipatory pedagogy, not only in the classroom, but also in the PITA. Okay? So that is for this. And I do hope that you're going to interact for the open forum. So thank you very much.